sort of strange character or something, singing alien, ideas to them, then you probably don't belong there either because you've lost that connection. And it's like, I'm a lot of it's got to do with like, it's victimless crimes, drug use, prostitution, gambling, whatever. I mean, as long as you're not hurting anybody else, it's nobody's fucking business what you do. And like, I'm on probation now for fucking dangerous drug use and stuff. Just because I fucking bought something, between two consenting adults that hurting nobody but possibly me, and that's my choice. And, whatever, but it's like, fuck authority. When it clamps down on you and restricts your freedom, pursuit of happiness, however, whatever you want to call it, whatever you call it, restricts, like, the Bill of Rights and the Constitution, which were the best things ever written, conceptually, and both have been destroyed, or they've been dismantled almost beyond recognition. I mean, they have free speech zones at political rallies these days and stuff. Yeah, and it's like, anyway, as long as, like, it's one thing to have your ideals evolve. That's cool, because people should learn as they go along. And anybody that sticks that thinks they know everything there is to know about something at a certain age and it's not open to to listen to anything other options or any not open to change. They basically have died at that point, and like. There's nothing wrong, but people that lose sight of what they are, were, whatever, they're also dead too. And I think it's one of the only reasons that we remain somewhat relevant, and myself maybe as a writer, is because like I keep my one foot on the edge where it's almost all over in many ways all the time. And to create and that's chaotic.
And the other foot is still firmly planted in who you've been all along.
Right. Right.
Like as an anchor, to keep your perspective uncorrupted,
Yeah.
And how about worst experiences you had with bands?
I'm gonna head back over.
Yeah, we gotta cut this short, but let's see.
Nice to meet you.
Let's see. The worst thing I ever did, the worst band we ever played with, as far as I'm concerned, was when we played with The Exploited back in California in 19. I don't know if you heard of The Exploited. Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I remember us, 7 Seconds, a few other bands were on a big bill, and The Exploited. We sort of, all the other bands were starved. It was a big buffet supposed to be for all the bands to go in and eat together, and we Exploited decided that they had to be alone, that they had to go in first without the other bands, and just like be English rock stars or something. And they were in there for fucking like an hour and a half, while we're all sitting in waiting to fucking eat. And when we finally were able to go in, they destroyed everything, all the food, pissed in the fucking food, fucking broke bottles in the fucking shit, so nobody fucking could eat anything. And they came out of there drunk, laughing, fucking no talk to anybody else in the bed. And it's like, it's supposed to be a camaraderie about it, you're supposed to support each other, not fucking tear shit down, and not tear each other down. And that same night, Waddy, some girl passed out in the crowd, and there was like about 1,500 people there out in LA. And some girl passed out in the crowd. She got passed hand over hand onto the stage, And Waddy looked down, and the girl, instead of helping the girl, he goes, "Who's this cunt?" And then kicks her in the fucking head with his fucking steel-toed Deuce Doc Martens and knocks her off the fucking stage. You know, and I was thinking to myself, if I had a fucking crossbow right now, I'd fucking shoot the fucking guy in the head. You know, it's like that's you know, and that's you know probably like so. That's just what is so punk, so against you know what the whole thing is supposed to be about. It's just like I couldn't believe it. I mean, to this day it pisses me off, and it happened in '84. And it's like, let me go the opposite direction. The probably like a band that like that shaped my outlook on stuff at a time when I was really impressionable and didn't really know much about punk and still had heroes and stuff like that, you know, people I would look up to, and rather than just as contemporaries as I do now, you know, no friend, or just whatever, you know, with UK Subs, and they were like the band at the time. I was about 17, 18, me and a friend had a fanzine we were putting out, and this was back in like 81 or so, and we went up to see them, and they were like our heroes at the time, you know. They were like the band that was after the Sex Pistols and the Clash. The Clash sold out to me like after the second album, and like you know, them and the Damned at the time were the only bands kind of still carrying the whole punk thing in England at the time. Right around when they came out too. And but the way we played with them early on, they're one of the bands that really helped us out too. They're high on my list. Biafra too. Biafra isn't with them, but he really gave us a lift up. He was one of the first people to like in a big band offer us like you know shows with them. You know, like back before hardcore even happened. You know, we were around before a year or two before that actually came out. And anyway, the UK Subs, Charlie and Nicky, the two main guys in the band, you know, we went up to see them. We were playing that night, and we went to interview them ahead of time, and we were like real nervous, you know. And we get to the bar, they're playing that, and we ask where they're at, and they were in there drinking, you know. And so we were underage at the time to get to be drinking, and we asked if we could go in and talk to them, and they went and asked them, and they said, I guess they said sure. So we went over, and we were shy, you know. They were like Nicky Garrett with a leather jacket with all these fucking nails and spikes coming out of the fucking thing, like really, you know, really imposing, and like you know, I went up and I said like, my name's Cliff and this is Paul, and we have a fanzine, and we're wondering if we couldn't interview you guys. And they're like, sure, mate, come on over here. And you know, they bought us beer, and they sat down with two kids basically, you know, and talked to us about anything we wanted to talk about, you know, and just like crack jokes. So it just made us feel comfortable right from the start, and it made us feel like, you know, we belong there, you know. And that's how, that was so important to me, and it stuck with me. That's the why, like, you know, if someone wants to, like, I know better than anyone else. And I, you know, I appreciate any interest anyone has, you know, in what we're doing. And if there's a possible way to make time to do anything like what we're doing, anything, you know, I do that. Because that, you know, it's like I remember that one incident, you know, and that shaped the direction that I've taken. I have an anxiety disorder, you know, where at times, like, you know, I'd rather just go hide than talk to people. But you know, it's more important that I try to get over that and do that. Because it goes back to that one. If I had met Waddy from The Exploited as an asshole first, maybe I would have thought, well, that's the way you should be. But you know, you learn from the people you look up to. You learn from, you know, your icons or something. You know, I mean, it's who you pay attention to, and you learn from what they show.